All right, guys, it is 1 o'clock right up and Central Standard Time. We are excited. We have communities all across the nation, and we are truly blessed with this project that we have. We had the opportunity to meet this project at a trade show, and it's really grown into several phases. So I'm really excited about bringing this opportunity for all of you communities and the project to do an introduction and to really dive in and find out what this project's looking for. Today's goals, obviously, we want to quickly meet some of our GSLI team and learn about a little bit about who we are. We'll do a quick overview to give you a high level perspective of what the companies are looking for in their next site location. Then we'll meet the project. Ethan is the director of business operations in the U.S. for the project, and has done a phenomenal job of putting together a presentation for us today. And then we'll do a Q&A, and that's your opportunity to ask questions and really define what you need to know to see if there's a good match between your community and what the project's looking for. So when you make a submission, feel free. There is a small question and answer button I'll go over here in a minute. But throughout the webinar, post those questions there, and we'll kind of work through those, and we'll most likely reserve those for the Q&A section. But if there's a question that we need answered immediately, we're here to get those answered for you. Who's attending? We love all of our community clients. They are our elite cities, people that we work with directly and have very good relationships with, knowing what they're looking for. We appreciate you always attending and helping these projects find new sites. We have some trial communities that we're talking to and looking at bringing into our elite cities network.
Eric, I can't hear you.
Yeah, 1 second, Ethan. I think he dropped off. We're going to figure it out real quick.
Okay, sure.
I think he may have a hold on, I'll let him know.
Eric, you're muted.
Guys, I apologize.
Okay.
I hit the wrong button, so I am back now. And where I left, I'm going to start back at this particular slide of who's in attendance. Community clients, obviously, those are people that we have very close relationships. They are our elite cities that we work with each and every day on putting in front of our projects and making sure that they're making accurate submissions. We have trial communities that are looking at potentially doing business with us and becoming a part of our elite cities network and working with the projects. We want to welcome each and every one of you. And today we have several observing companies that are looking at doing Prospect Live events and really want to understand how this process works. So we want to thank you for coming in today and listening. And we have people that really aren't on the short list or of areas of interest of the project, but really just want to kind of learn and use this as a learning experience of what this company and what companies are looking for in the site location process. So welcome also. This is a good time. I would really like to know, because we have a ton of people on here today. If you could put up the attendance poll, like to know if this is your first webinar or prospect live event for you to attend, or if you're a seasoned veteran with us and have attended multiple ones with us.
The slides are not showing, by the way. All right, we're good now.
All right. We've got a lot of new communities in here, so thank you for attending. Moving on, some housekeeping items. You should already be muted. If not, please make sure that you are muted. So if you have a distraction or something, it doesn't come across on our recording. And going live, if you have a specific question that's kind of detailed, you can raise your hand. There's a little raise your hand icon that you can click on, and that'll allow you, it'll alert me that you want to go live, and we can open up your microphone and ask any questions that you have. Ask all questions, like I said, in the Q&A section. Those will be queued up for us to answer, and we'll take those in order, and we'll make sure that all questions are answered before we end the Prospect Live. And we're recording. Don't fear if you miss out on something. We encourage communities that are going to be submitting on the project to go back and listen to the Prospect Live to know exactly what is needed from the project and how you can best answer their needs. Who's with us today? Myself, I'm the CEO. I founded GSLI 27 years ago and have really enjoyed the process. We feel, and I founded the company for one reason. We want to put expanding or relocating companies in touch with professionals that can assist them. And we do that for free. That allows these communities to get information on projects that they would never have known of before, and it allows the companies to learn about communities that they might have not considered on their short list or on their original short list. So we feel that education creates interest, and so the more we can educate the communities about the companies and the companies about the communities, the better the site selection process will flow. We've got Ashley Kleinsorge. She is my daughter and is our project manager. So day in and day out, she's communicating with the projects, finding out information about the projects, and making sure we're delivering what they need when they're considering site locations. We've got Ethan. He's the director of business development in North America for this project. Had a wonderful opportunity of having several conversations with Ethan, learning about the project and finding out how big this project has grown from the inception of when we first started talking to them. We also have Brooke Edwards. She's our project director, works with the projects and handles a lot of the marketing initiatives that we put forth to get engaged with projects. And with that said, Brooke, I'd like you to kind of give a little overview about who we are and where people can find us in the coming months.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eric. Make sure my audio is all right. So yes, most of you have probably seen some of the emails that I've put out. That's on our behalf as GSLI. We have a lead of the week. So those are active projects that we identify on a pretty much weekly basis. And the goal is just to educate, hey, these are some of the project needs that companies are looking for, and we want to see if this would be a good fit for your community. So most of my time is spent managing the site selection projects, helping with consulting on the process for site location, and then also just reviewing member site proposals and making sure that those submissions get to the projects. So for those of you who really don't know GSLI, because I'm assuming we have quite a few new people on the call today, we're two-faceted. So we are a site location advisor and an economic development consulting firm. So our business is job creation through and through. We generate project leads and we work with them a bit unconventionally than most lead generation companies that you may have worked with. So we do not deliver projects like the state does. And we actually manage a client's RFP process, so the company's RFP process, a little bit differently. And I'll touch on that in a second. So our focus, since we have an elite alliance of cities, is to make sure that those members have a chance to fill their pipeline with opportunities that we identify, and then also that they have a chance to present optimal sites to our clients. And that is the project's executive team. We work with those individuals, kind of like Ethan here, daily. And that's something that Ashley and I are actively involved in, making sure that we're getting information back for our clients, that we're putting our client sites in front of the companies, and that they have an opportunity to present their best self. And so this is a bit different than what the state would do in terms of lead generation for your community. So our goal is really just to put a site that maybe a project wouldn't have considered in front of them. And this is actually how we identified Project All Boxed Up and helped it land in Lancaster, Texas, which Shane Shepard, he's the economic development director there. That's how the corrugated box manufacturing plant ended up landing there in Lancaster. So that's kind of just a real life example of how we operate. So active projects, as you guys may have seen in the lead of the week, all of our projects are housed in what we call the project portal. So this is just a simple online platform that we use for EDOs to go into, see all the projects that we have at one time. And at this point, we have 115 that are active projects that we've qualified. We've identified that they're going to dig dirt. They've met our minimum qualification standards. And the whole goal is to A, fill their pipeline with qualified leads, and then B, make a quick site submission. We have made it very simple for economic development groups to go in there and not have to fill out very cumbersome RFP responses. We have a very simplified process right within there that helps you make that submission. It goes right through to our team and we present it to the company. And lastly, it's a platform that you can track your projects, you can view updates that we make on those projects, and just make sure that your submission status is good to go in there. So you can just go to the gsliprojectportal.com to start looking at projects and just kind of play around in there and see if there's certain projects that might be a good fit for your area. You can easily filter and find them pretty quickly. So we've spent hundreds of hours developing and perfecting this platform to simplify it as much as possible to help simplify your business attraction efforts as an economic development organization. So we hope you guys enjoy it. Also, yes, so we are headed to quite a few shows upcoming. We're going to the Home Delivery World Expo, Intermodal Expo. We're going to see all of our clients and also new communities that we've never engaged with before at the IADC annual conference in Oklahoma City. And then we will be at FabTech. So we have a pavilion type of booth there that we're really excited to generate new project leads for our clients and also for any new communities that want to join us as well in that time. So thank you to our sponsors, Dumas, Worth County, Junction City, Geary County, Dothan, Alabama, Louisiana Central. You guys have made it possible for us to get ourselves there and put our best foot forward to identify project leads for all of you and for our clients. So there's going to be major representation of our clients there, and we're really excited to see you there. And upcoming, we have a master series. So these are our educational webinars that we host just with experts and professionals in the field. And in this case, we're going to be doing a master series on our project portal. So how to best maximize your time in the portal, how to work the projects, how to identify the right projects that are a good fit for you. So this is going to be a really great presentation for those that are interested on just what is the project portal, how do I operate in it, and then also for clients, just to make sure that you guys are really utilizing it to the best ability. So that's upcoming on August 18th. All right, and I'm just going to pass it over to Ashley as she's going to be the one presenting how she identified this project kind of alongside me. But Ashley, I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, Brooke.
Guys. Yeah.
It's been, so Brooke actually, like Eric mentioned earlier, she was the one that got the opportunity to talk, discuss, meet this company and talk about their project more with them at the trade show that we recently went to. And I was tasked with the follow-up after the show. So I got in touch with Ethan, and he's been absolutely great to work with over the past couple of months. We've been able to discuss his project more in depth. And I think you guys are really going to like what he has to say. It's a great multi-phase expansion, looking in multiple regions of the US. They have a great project for us, and he's put together a awesome presentation for us to kind of explain it more in depth, so that you guys can better understand their wants and needs and where they're going to be best fit. And I'm excited to get some good communities in front of him. And with that, Ethan, if you want to kind of explain your project and go over everything that we've been able to discuss, and I'm sure that it'll be well received by all the communities here.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you for having me here. And it's my honor to join this event and talking our future plan with the different communities from the country. So let me tell something about our company and our plan for the new lithium cell manufacturing facility in the US. Okay. So our company is a lithium battery manufacturer. We have headquarters in China right now, and we have a lot of customers in the US and from the Fortune 500 company. So we supply the product, the battery, and the battery pack to them on the in the energy storage field and multi-power field. For example, like the forklift, the golf car, the AGV, and this kind of applications. So now our manufacturing facility is all in China. We wanted to start a new project to build our new production line in the US. So the project totally is like the 2 gigawatt hours. It's leased on physically the cell manufacturing facilities. So we're gonna build the LFP type, like from 50 ampere hour to 200 ampere hour. Prismatic cell or pouch cell is to be determined, and the location. So now we're still looking for the best location for us. And the capacity plan is at the beginning, we plan to build the 500 megawatt hours for the pilot line, and plan to expand it to 1.5 gigawatt hours. So total will be 2 gigawatt hours. Yeah, where to manufacture? So location matters. So here is some indicator about different state from the US. As you can see, like the blue color means this map is not accurate. So it just give some like the basic idea for the for across the countries. So we consider about the west area and also east area.
So Ethan, on this map, what is more favorable, to be more towards the green or the blue in terms of that analysis?
Green.
So more green,
Yes,
a
more
more
green,
likely
right.
location for you to consider.
Mhm.
Okay, great.
So talk about our facility proposal. For the 2 gigawatt hours, the facility, the equipment and the plant constructions. So the investment will be around the US dollar 120 millions. And the manufacturing area is like, okay, so we using the square meters. So converted to the square feet, you can see here is like the 430,000 square feet. And the power load we need is like the 8,000 kilowatt hours, kVA, and the high density, the cement floor. And the timeline for the construction estimate needed 18 to 24 months. Yeah, here's some like the budget summary for our project. So for the first phase, the 500 ampere hour of 500 megawatt hours pilot line, the investment will be around 33 millions, and the expansion plan 1.5 gigawatt hours. The MP line investment will be around US dollar 122 million.
So I got a quick question on this. When you're doing your
Please.
phases, do you plan on building large enough to handle the capacity for future, or is it something you'd like to have expansion ability. So acquire more land and build onto that existing facility and grow into it? Or are you planning on building large enough, but just carrying a certain capacity in the beginning?
Yeah, so the 500 megawatt hours is for the pilot line. So this capacity is not enough to supply our current customers, but we want to do this first because a lot of things need to figure out before the MP line, the mass production line, and then like the equipment, the installation, and the raw material for our batteries. So we want to do this project in two phases. Like the first, build the production, the pilot line, and the second, expand it to the mass production line.
So I got a question from Larkin Smith. He's in Central Louisiana. We work with him on a lot of projects.
Please.
He got a quick question. He's asking, is the 500 or the parameters that you're showing on these slides, is that for the 500 megawatt pilot or the 2 gigawatt plant?
Which one?
Um,
Please.
Yeah, he's asking about the parameters that you're sharing on these slides. Are those numbers for the 500 megawatt pilot, or what they'll ultimately be for the 2 gigawatt plant?
Yeah, here is the budget summary is for the 1.5 gigawatt hours, the MP line.
Okay.
Yeah. Here's our staffing need for the operations. For the pilot line, we need around 70 field operators. And for the MP line, we need double this and 152. And the others, like the R&D still need to be determined how many R&D scientists we need to hire. And R&D, sometimes we can working remotely and not on site, and even can working from different countries. The engineer, technician, and quality control, and the lab inspection people, they all needed to working on site. So you can see here, for the pilot line, so we need at least 10 engineers and 5 technicians and 10 people for the quality control and 10 people for the lab inspection on the raw material.
So a quick question on this, and I know that those job rates can really be impacted on where you locate in terms of what you need to pay for an engineer in some states over others. But in terms of the employees, will you be relocating some employees from overseas, or will you be going all local hires for these positions?
At the beginning, during the installation, we probably relocating some engineer from overseas and to help us to establish the production line. So after this fully operate, and we will hire the people from local.
Yeah, okay, great. And Ethan, I need to apologize to Larkin. I think I said Larkin Smith and it's Larkin Simpson. We know Larkin really well.
Okay.
All right, so now we've got an opportunity to go into a Q&A. And thank you for the presentation and the numbers that you provided. We've had some questions already prepared, but whenever you ask questions, I see people are filtering them in. Please provide, your name is provided, but please provide your name and location so we can kind of get an idea of where the question is coming from as a location. But we'll start off, Ethan, I always like to, I think ultimately a lot of different locations have various motivations. And I think that's probably one of the keys for a community to understand what's motivating your expansion or location. We've had things as silly as, the quality of life, they needed to be by a lake for certain reasons. But then we have customer driven motivations that are demanding that they locate in certain facilities. What is your key motivation in locating a site in the US?
Okay, so the key motivation for us. So first is we wanted to build the reliable supply chain to better service our customers in the US. And the past 2 years, the COVID-19, the pandemic, has a big impact on the economic globally. So we have some issue with the supply chain cost on our product deliver late, some issues and some delay on the ocean transportation, some delay on the port. So this is the problem we have faced from the last 2 years. So we want to build the reliable supply chain to better service our customer. It's our key motivations. And another one is about the macro background. Recently, U.S. government has the big incentives to bring the lithium battery manufacture back to the U.S. Last year, under the government executive order, so U.S. Department of Energy, and there has done some like the 100 days investigation on supply chain. I think it's on semiconductor and some critical miners and some pharmaceutical ingredients and also the lithium batteries. So this 100 days report make it clearly like the reliable, secure supply chain on battery is essential to the national security and also economic security. And our customer in the US, they also want us to have the local support from the production and the team to support the business with them grow together. That's our key motivations to have the manufacture here in the US.
Perfect. Thank you. So tell us about some of those customers. Who's your ideal customer? Some of these communities might have cluster industries that are within their community that could benefit from the production of your product. Tell us about the types of customers that are using you and the ones that you're looking for.
Okay, sure. So I can name the company name at this moment. So I can let you know our customer focus on the energy storage, especially for the residential energy storage and the commercial and industry energy storage. And at this moment, we don't have the solution for the utility scale energy storage. Some giant company like the Honeywell, ABB, that has the kind of solutions. But now we focus on the residential and the commercial energy storage. Another big market for us is on the multi-power industry. For example, like the golf car, the forklift, and some industrial vehicle, like the ATV, and these kind of applications for our customer to use on battery in their equipment.
Okay. So in terms of circling back to the site, in terms of taking some of the data that we're going to be providing you and the information that these communities can submit on, so that they know, if it's worth their time to submit on the project and don't go through the whole process. Are there any must-haves in the facility that you cannot do without?
The must-have. So we're looking for some area with like the industry area, called the metro industry area with the complete supporting, like the electricity, the tap water, and close to the highway, and sometimes like our equipment and our raw material need the heavy duty truck to bring stuff in. So we need the highway and the motorway for the transportation. And also we looking for some locations close to the like the ocean port, and can save time and reduce the cost to bring the stuff into our new facilities. So the must-have, we for the manufacture workshop, so we can build it from the green land, but we need this area is mature industry area.
Okay. So in terms of port access, is your products that you're moving into your plant? Would you be moving that in and out of your plant to go international? Will you be shipping anything internationally, or will it all be domestic?
For our final products, we will ship domestic to our customer in the US. But for the raw material, we need to bring from other countries, especially from China.
Is it a type of material that can be trucked or put on a rail to an intermodal and dispersed to your facility, or do you prefer straight from the port?
You mean the railway transportation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it works for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So kind of diving into the employees, that's always today workforce is a big challenge for the entire nation in terms of trying to find the right people and getting enough of them to be a sustainable, but it's coming back. What challenges have you faced with your current workforce, and what do you want to see mainly from workforce information or studies from the communities?
Yeah, the workforce is very important for our project. So now we're facing the problem about working force is we lack of the skilled people in this field. The lithium battery now is kind of hot topic, hot subject. A lot of countries in the Europe, they're also to start and build the large manufacturing facility in British, in some North Europe countries, and I heard some people, so like over hundreds of the workers, they're hired even from the Korea and the Japan directly, to working there in the Europe area, and also from the national lithium battery blueprint. So as I mentioned earlier, like after this 100 days inspection and review, so they are found currently US also lack of the skilled people for the battery industry. So this the challenge we're going to face in the workforce.
Okay, perfect. Talking about industry clusters, I know we kind of tapped into that, but is that is there any specific industry clusters, types of possible consumers of your product that you'd really like to be located near? Meaning, if a community can provide, hey, we have X, Y, and Z company, and the workforce is right for you, possible users of your product, those types of things. What specific industry clusters would you be looking for?
Yeah, that's a good question. So let me explain a little bit more. Currently, US has some lithium manufacture, but at this moment, almost the raw material, the most raw material still need to import from China, Korea, and Japan, and especially for the negative, we call it like the anode material, almost 100% import from Asia area. So we wanted to do our manufacturing facility in the US, but at the first several years, so we still need to facing the issue to import the raw material from China, and we wanted to close to the battery industry cluster, because in this way we can reduce our cost to get the raw materials. For example, if we close to another large the lithium cell manufacturer, so probably they already established the supply chain around that area, so can help us as well. And also we want to close to our customer as well. So we're looking for the lithium battery industry cluster, and also our customer orientation battery industry cluster, like for example, like the multi-power industry, and also the energy storage industry.
Okay, perfect. Since you tapped into the clusters and raw materials, I have a question here from Rock Atay. Rock, we enjoy your company. We were actually just talking with Rock earlier today. He's from Entergy, Louisiana. But Rock asked, what are the primary materials for the facility, and how will they be transported to the site? I know we talked about possibly port and rail. Um, do you have a kind of a checklist of the important raw materials you need access to, or will those all be imported?
I think at the beginning, probably only the important. Yeah, so we needed the material for the cathode, and it called sometimes we call it positive and negative in the battery terminals. The active material for the positive and the active material for the negative, and also the material for the electrolyte, and also the material for the separate. This is the key materials for our battery manufacturers.
Okay, perfect. And Rock, since he's with Entergy Louisiana, we work with a lot of power companies also, and they always ask, in terms of utility requirements on the electrical, water, or gas. Are there any special requirements that you need that you know of from the facility in terms of redundancy, anything like that?
I think it is the power load, as I mentioned earlier, we need around 8,000 kVA for the 1.5 gigawatt hours, the mass production line. For the pilot line, the 500 megawatt hours one. So we need probably around, that's mean at the beginning is around, let me see, probably around 5,000 for, 5,000 kVA for the power load for our pilot line. And the water, we don't have special requirement. So for our facility, we will need the tap water, and also we need some like the called the high pressure steam, and also some like the nitrogen, and also some like the compressed air, and we need the very good ventilations for our facility. So that's the basic like the utility need for this manufacturer side.
Okay, and just quick question. If any of our utilities have specific questions, could we set up one-on-one calls with you to talk with them about what they could deliver on their utilities
Yeah, sure.
and their
sure.
need?
So
Okay.
So we're looking for the the low cost on the utility, and especially on the electricity side. So if the location has the low rate on the electricity, especially from the renewable energy electricity, that will be very helpful for us.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to deviate and kind of go to some of our questions because they mix in, and some of these final questions are really more about just tipping points and how to really satisfy your needs. But I got a question here from Shane Chadwick. Shane, welcome. Shane is a great client of ours from the Florida's Great Northwest. We appreciate you being on here, but he kind of wants to know just what's the basic timeline. I said, in terms of 18 to 24 months, do you feel that you'll be able to get your equipment and with the logistics issues that are going on right now, 18 months is a pretty compressed time frame, but do you feel like you are prepared and can make that stay within that 18 to 24 months?
Yeah, so now the ocean transportation is getting better compared to last year, and the 18 months to 24 months is the estimate time for the construction time to building the facility for us. And during this period, we can prepare for the equipment, and we can issue the order to the equipment manufacturer to prepare the shipment and prepare the installations during the construction period. So 18 months and 24 months, we feel positive.
Okay, perfect. I got another question here from Matt, and Matt is another one of our elite areas. He's from CoStep down in South Texas. But to clarify, in terms of the size needed, the 40,000 square meters, is that for phase one? And or will you be scaling up over time from that initial startup? And if phasing up, how many square meters do you need for, I'm going to say phase 2?
Okay, so the 40,000 square meter is for the 1.5 gigawatt hours manufacturing facility. It's only for the manufacture facility area. If we consider about the backyard, the parking lot, and also the storage area, so probably we need a double size of the land, you know, for this whole the whole project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that answer what you needed, Matt? You could throw it in the chat box. All right, I got another question in here from Central Louisiana, Larkin Simpson, and we appreciate you, Larkin. Circling back, because I think this is a really big concern of just communities and making sure they're meeting the community, the company's needs, and with logistic issues that are projected to be there for a little bit of while. How will your raw materials, what's your preferred way for your raw materials to come into the facility? If they offer, for example, rail, truck, and barge, what's your preferred method of bringing the product in, and then how do your finished goods leave and exit the facility?
So, okay, that's a good question. So let's talk about the finished good first. So for the finished good, we always use the truck with the container to deliver to our customer. And for the raw material, so it doesn't matter to use the truck or use the rail to bring to our manufacturing facilities. So, but at the first few years, I think most of the raw material will come from the port. So we need the transportation from port to our facility. Yeah, either truck or the rail, both work for us.
Okay. Got a question coming from upstate New York from Bob. And Bob, if I pronounce your name, it's Offeld. Wrong, I apologize. I have a difficult last name also. But what is your need for renewable energy as a contributor to the 500 megawatts needed for production? Will any of that be derived from renewable energy, or how will that take place? What's your desire, I guess?
Because now more and more companies consider about the ESG and consider to reduce the carbon footprint. So we make the battery for the energy storage. So if we're still using the traditional, the full power plant generates the power for us to manufacture the battery, it's not a 100% how to say that is the green road. So we prefer to have the renewable energy we can use to produce our batteries than using in the energy storage field. So that's the circle. We call it like the green road for the industry. So we want to use the renewable energy like from the solar or from the wind, and to reduce the carbon footprint.
Perfect. Got Matt circling back around from South Texas, CoStep, and he's asking, what is the geographic distribution of your customers? And I'm going to say probably currently or on your plans, who you've mapped out, and do they have distance requirements? Do you have any suppliers that have a specific delivery requirements in terms of miles or time for your production site?
Okay, our current customer is the OEM customer. So we direct shipping the container from our China manufacturer to their side. Now we have customer in the West and also the East, and some customer in the Middle West area. It's like the Minnesota, Wisconsin, this area, right? It's called Middle West in the US, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have some, mostly the energy storage customer located in the West area, California, and the industrial vehicle, they're located in the Midwest, like I just mentioned, Wisconsin and Minnesota. Some other customer, like the golf car manufacturer, they're located in Georgia.
You know, Ethan, as you described that, that would be awesome if over the next couple weeks we could put together that kind of map and look for those clusters for you and really pinpoint those types of industries as they relate to different areas of the United States. That'd be very helpful.
Thank you.
Got a question came in from Josh Summits. He's with Stafford County, Virginia. In terms of the facility, you're going to be going green and building this from the ground up, or would you like to find an existing building and lease it, or do a lease to own type option? What are you looking for in the real estate portion?
We prefer the building from the Greenland. If the existing facilities is suitable for our manufacturer need, we also can consider these options. However, so we think this facility is probably using for something else before, probably don't have the right layout or the design for our cell manufacture. So we prefer the building from the Greenland at this moment.
Okay. Got a question here. One may have been answered. It's from an anonymous attendee. What about the use of inland ports? Are you open to the use of inland ports for locating your facility?
Inland port is mean the railway station?
Inland port, yeah, it could be either barge or rail or a combination of both.
Okay. Yeah, we open to the inland port. But as I mentioned, if the raw material coming from Asia, and so the close port will be California, like Long Beach, and some other port in the East Coast, like the Georgia Savannah, is also a convenience port to bring the raw material. But if the inland port is convenience, we also open for these options.
Yeah, and I would suggest if there's some kind of information to provide, if you have an inland port, but you have an advantage of some other area, either low energy provider that would offset the costs, increased costs of that, please provide us that, and we would have that put into the entire equation. In terms of the other question from our anonymous attendee is, do you have, and I don't recall if you answered that, was this a part of your cluster, but do you have, will the manufacturing plant have a focus on supporting the EV vehicle industry? Electric vehicle.
Yeah. So now EV is the future for the transportations, and a lot of company, the giant company, they already announced their expansion plan for the US, like the Panasonic. They announced last week they're gonna building another gigafactory, and I think it's in Kansas. It's like the huge investment, $4 billion US. But our customer is not focused on the EV because it's too competitive in this moment for us to get into this EV market, and our customer is focused, as I mentioned, for the industry vehicle and also the energy storage. Yeah. And also the product type is different. Usually the EV, they're using the cylindrical cell for their battery pack, but our production line plan to produce the prismatic and the pouch cell as different.
Okay, this is just a kind of feeding upon the transportation one more time. Rock from Entergy, Louisiana asks, specific to ports, because I know they're heavily ported down there and use their port very effectively. Raw materials are offloaded at the port, then loaded onto rail or truck to transport to the facility. How important is that close proximity? Is there a certain distance requirement that you've set or thought of if you take advantage of a port. I mean, a port, for example, in Louisiana.
Oh, I don't think there has a certain distance limitation on the raw materials. So we just want to close because we bring the raw material from the through the ocean. So if the facility close to the ocean part, I think it will help us to control the cost on the transportation to bring the raw material in.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Got a good question coming in here, and they're still flowing in from Joshua. He's a great community of ours in Cibola, New Mexico, and specifically asking about the use of your green power. And if you could kind of expand on that, if so, he's asking about solar power, or are you pretty much going to rely totally off the grid?
So for the green power, we don't consider the whole facility needed to off-grid. So if the off-grid, that means we needed to do a lot of installation of the solar panels around our manufacturing facilities, right? So we still needed the grid tied and also to secure our power supply. And we just hope the power supply from the grid is generated by the green power, like the solar or wind.
Okay. Got two more questions that have come in. And if you have any other questions, please go ahead and put those in the chat box, and we'll be winding up here in a minute. And then we'll circle back to just a couple of these questions that are left over here. On the map, do you have what kind of criteria used or where the information was provided on the green versus blue communities in terms of that? How was that derived and how does that change on an ongoing basis if things change with the information we get?
Okay, so that map is not created by us. It's the map we got in from some other consulting company. So they're make this map based on the index, like the tax rate, the labor cost, and the land cost, utility cost, this kind of factors to create that map. So for the reference, so for our site location, as you mentioned, like the tipping points, I think always the cost and the location is the key important things for us to consider about the locations. So location, we need to close to highway, close to ocean port, and close to the large international airport. And for the cost, so we prefer the area with the lower utility cost, and also for example, like the low unionization. Yeah, this kind of things in consideration.
Okay. This is kind of a side note. We have an anonymous attendee asked about salary requirements, but in terms of salary requirements, we kind of know that those are going to differ on a state by state basis. In terms of what it costs an engineer in California might be different than in New Mexico, Louisiana, or somewhere, purely because of the cost of living. Are salary requirements a kind of any kind of driving factor, or are all your other expenses way far superior that salary requirements and the differences in salaries, would they make a big difference or a small difference of where you're taking a look of locating?
I think at this moment, the salary is make a small difference. Our production line is not fully automatically, but it's high automatically. So as you can see, this facility, we don't need too many people working there. But this facility, after we put in operation, it will be running the whole day, 24 hours. So we need the 3 or 4 shifts. So working continually to secure our production line running smoothly. So that's the reason we need like around 70 people working in the field. It's not for one shift, it's for the 3 shift. So for the engineer, technician, and the quality people, and also the lab inspection people, I think the salary, as I mentioned earlier, now we lack of the skilled people in the battery industry. It's not easy to hire people with low salary. So I don't think there will be a big difference from the different state.
Yeah, and that's kind of a question I have. Do you find any kind of challenges? Does the cost of an American worker far exceed that of a worker that you would hire in China, or is that comparable based on the skill level in terms of making that decision to make the jump to the US?
Talk about the salary. So if we compare US and China, so China is still low because the currency rate is different. Like the $1 US is almost the 7 China currency. So the cost, the salary cost in the US still higher, much higher compared with China.
Okay, but but the demand is high enough here in the US to absorb those increases for your product.
Yeah. So the salary is not contributing too much in the whole facilities. So as I mentioned, it's not the fully automatic production line, but it's higher automatically. So we most needed the people on the R&D, research, and also the engineering technicians and some support to ensure our production line runs smoothly and produce the great product with good quality for our customer.
Okay, great. Rock had another question from Central Louisiana or Entergy Louisiana. Kind of just circling back on the timeline and wanted clarification on the 18 to 24 months. He's asking, what timeline do they have for construction to operation for the pilot line and eventually for the manufacturing plant? Basically, when are you hoping to be in operation phase 1 and phase 2? Or I guess the question is phase 2 the 24 months, or is phase 1 the 18 to 24 months growing into the phase 2? And when would you like to have that one complete?
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry, I got confused. For the pilot line, the timeline, I think would be same as the mass production line. So even if we building from the Greenland, so like the construction on the facilities almost take the same time to building from the ground. Yeah, even the small, like the pilot line, I think we still need 18 to 24 months to complete the construction.
Okay, great. Shane from Florida, once again, just wanted to ask if we could share your energy slides and information with them after this presentation. Absolutely, Shane. Anybody that wants the slides, we will either make them accessible on the recording email that we send out, or you can simply call one of our project managers, which will give you the information at the end, and they will give it to you to obviously contact yours that you directly work with each month. I got another question that just came in from April. Actually, that's not a question. I think that's directed towards us. April, if that's not, kind of expand on that question. We might have to find out for you. Brian Connors, he's representing the state of Michigan. Glad to have you, Brian. We just met with Detroit Energy, one of the utility providers up there. We'd love to submit for the project. What will the process be? Brian, that's a question for me. Very simple. You just go into our portal. You'll create a free account, and there'll be you'll find project battery power by the code name, and you'll click on submit once you open up the project. That will have a submission process for you to complete. Any future submissions, there's what's called sticky field, so you don't have to continually repeat the information that stays static. That is put together in an easy to read format for Ethan and us to take a look at and put together in a presentation for him to start considering locations. So absolutely give myself a call or one of our project managers that represents your state. I can hook you up with them and they can walk you through that process. How many sites can be submitted with one login? That's just from an anonymous attendee. That's more of a personal question. But if you're one of our elite cities program, you can submit on each and every project that you feel there's a good match. We allow guest communities to come in and experience our portal and experience working with our projects by submitting on the project. You're welcome, Brian. Thank you. I think that's it. Just let me wrap up because I think this is an important thing to really kind of circle back and clearly identify for these communities. So when they're preparing information, what are the tipping points that are going to make you say this site is going to make the cut more than that cut? If you have two sites equal, what would you say a tipping point would be for you to make a site location?
Yeah, so we don't have specific tipping points. So as I mentioned, the location and cost is the two important things. And also like if the location is a mature industrial area with the electricity ready and the tap water and close to the highway, that will be the big advantage for us to consider this location.
Okay. And then from a local level, a lot of the projects we work with want to know, they have the community's back and support, and they really they're making a sizable investment, which your project definitely is. What type of support are you looking for from the local community throughout the process? And finally, once you're on the ground producing, what kind of support do you want to see from the community?
Yeah, definitely we will need the support from the community, especially on the labor force. So we hired people from the local, and we want the local community help us to train our people, or like our team can also working together with the local community to train the workers, to train the operators, and we need a community support on this process to make our hiring people can quickly to jump into their role and to working on their position smoothly. Yeah.
And I would expect limited red tape in terms of getting things done fast. With your time frame.
Yeah.
Final question I have, if nobody else has questions, in terms of incentives and subsidies, we always encourage a company to find the site first and then see if there's any incentives available. Don't use that as a tipping point, but are there any specific incentives that you have thought that would make sense in helping your startup and getting you guys going through your startup phase of the facility?
Yeah, so incentives is very important for us because as I said, at the first several years, the cell we make here will be higher. I mean, the cost will be higher than the cell we make in China. So, but we still want to do this because we're looking for the future. In the future, so with the US government's motivation to establish the whole lithium cell supply chain in the US, we will getting the material from the local and to lower our manufacture cost and to better support our customer in the US. But at the first several years, the cost to manufacture the lithium cell in the US will be higher, probably we estimate will be 20% higher than the sale we made in the US, in the China, even consider with the ocean shipping cost. So still higher than made in China. So we needed the government support from the local community support with the incentives to help us to do this and to make it happen and to make our manufacturing facility running.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out, because as we work with companies, there's different motivations for incentives, but it makes so much sense when presented of why an incentive makes sense to help a company like yours that's making a long-term investment into the community. But thank you for doing that. Don't have any more questions, so we'll dive right into our submission process. We're going to put up the poll. If you can, click if you're going to be interested in submitting to Project Battery Power. We will put you directly in contact with one of our project managers that handles your particular state, and they'll help you put together your submission and make sure that it's effectively and met by our time frame. That time frame is August 12th at 5 p.m. Once we receive the submissions on the following day, we will vet member and non-member submissions and take a look at all of the value that's provided in those submissions. And we'll present those to Ethan for his review. And he'll take a look and kind of give us feedback, additional questions he might have from particular areas, which we will feed back directly to you in getting him the information he's needed. And we will then reach out to the communities and to further discuss any interest and set up some times that we can actually do site visits. Ethan, do you have a time frame or what's your goal in terms of taking evaluation and actually doing some site visits to go visit communities that are of interest to you?
Oh, for the site visiting, so after we received the proposal from submissions, we will review and select the location we are interested to visit. I think probably take some time at the September or October. Yeah, we can plan the visiting. Okay.
So that's a good time frame. That'll keep you pretty much on task of your 18 to 24 months. So there you have it. The recording link and submission instructions. If you need help, you can contact Brooke at brooke.edwards@gslisolutions.com. Please make sure, we've had a couple people ask how they can be on our lead of the week list so they can see the different projects that we are engaging with each week. Reach out to one of our people. We've got Christopher Hines. He's in Missouri and representing about 13 different states, and each of our reps handle anywhere from 10 to 13 states. And we have reach out to us and we can put you in touch with the right representative to help you. They can get you signed up for our lead of the week. They can help you with your submission process. If you're unfamiliar with it, they're a tremendous help, and we really appreciate all the work they do working with the communities. With that said, I want to say thank you, Ethan. You've given us a tremendous amount of time of educating us about your project. We are so excited to be working with you and look forward to you creating jobs here in the U.S. That's always a positive and very exciting venture that we love to be involved in. And communities, we know how busy you are running your individual communities, and for you to set aside an hour of your time to learn about this project and see if you can help him make it your home or his next home. We really appreciate that. And so with that said, thank you, Ethan. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Eric, for having me here. And thank you for all the communities come join us today. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Until our next Prospect Live, I'm going to sign off and say thank you till we meet again.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.